how the injured workers are being dealt underhandedly over the issue of deeming.
So you talked about how there's like another home medical care for people that get hurt during work. Can you explain that more again?
Well, right. It's like two healthcare systems. The main system, Health Canada, or the Canada Health Act, which is what most of us are under. If you go to the hospital or have your doctor, it's charged through the normal system that's supported through public funds, our taxation system. But if you're injured at work, it's under a completely separate system. And this dates back to way before there was universal health care, when if you got injured at work, you were basically just dead in the water. And so they created a system where the employers pooled together to create this insurance plan that would compensate people who were injured at work. But now you fast forward, and most of us are covered under a much better system that's publicly funded. And this insurance plan, like you can imagine, most insurance plans has an incentive to reduce their payouts and give executive bonuses. They do this here. While these people are living in misery, they're getting reduced amounts through this deeming process, and then the people who run WSIB reward themselves with all these bonuses and celebrate how much money they're saving because they're not paying it out to people who need it. And so, right, you walk into the emergency room, and it's one of the first questions you'll be asked. There's a sign right there, usually beside the desk when you come in, saying if you were injured at work, you have to let them know because you're under this completely different plan that's operated through the private insurance.
And so you guys are here today. What do you want the public to get from you guys protesting?
Well, I mean, to me, just since I found out about it, I think letting people know is the first thing. Like, I don't imagine most people would think that injured workers across Ontario are living like this, and that this is the case, and that this exception to the health system has them in misery largely. I mean, like I say, at least to the people I've talked to in the 5 or 6 years that I've been active in this with Kevin, like, if people are temporarily injured, it's usually not as bad because you can kind of float in and float out, and your experience may be good or bad or sideways, but you're eventually getting better and going back to your job. But if you're stuck as a permanent, it's like they have you tagged, and then they want to reduce that cost. One way or another, they want to. Part of it is, I think, they're aiming to push people out of that system entirely. Go beyond the public system. Go on disability. We don't really want you all on this private system. You're a burden. Go on the public system. You're disabled. And so it's a way of shirking the responsibility that they supposedly take on through this whole system to begin with.
Because I know my dad got into a car accident within work, and I didn't know like this whole thing was happening behind, because now he's in disability, even though he can work. But like now he's not allowed to work because he's under a disability title. So
yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, sometimes when people do get back to work, then they end up with a different job description because they have different circumstances, so they no longer can do what they were doing before. So even they have things, repercussions from it that aren't really being dealt with. Yeah, it's a pretty depressive situation.
It is, because this can really create like people becoming homeless, because even after like, let's say like you get hurt at like a construction site, like you hurt your leg and you can't walk anymore. Like I know some people become homeless because of like they can't work and stuff like that.
For sure. I don't know that it's a major contributor, but it's definitely contributing. Also, the drugs involved when people are injured. I think it's part of this larger drug epidemic that's going on, that people end up on some form of opioids with a lot of injuries, and then they're just sort of left to deal with this. And these new drugs are so potent that people just are having trouble dealing with that outside of all these other issues that are being piled on top of it.
Forced on the next, I think WSIB cuts the pain management from their healing process, right? So now it becomes, you can't just cold turkey from an opiate, you know, and that's what happens to a lot of these people. I like myself, have never turned opiates because I was denied. So it's having to live in chronic pain. You know, nowadays marijuana is legal, so there's that option, right, for people. You don't have to go the medical route. You can get it in the store or wherever. But me, truthfully, I've been doing it for years, and that's the only option I had. And you know, what do you do with a society where you can't get medical treatment, right? Like myself, this is some of the stuff from this report is why we're out of what they're doing to us, you know, and they're basically trying to force us back to work. And their numbers that WSIB keeps, 92% of injured workers get back to work, is what they say. They keep that number all the time. Nobody can figure out where he gets that number from. And it's not meaning the person's back to work fixed, right? They send us back broken, medicated, or whatever, so they can consider it not lost time injury. And it's sad, right? In this report, there was 4 years ago an investigation was called, but yet nothing's been done. Government change, Ford's making it worse, right? It's a non-taxpayer funded system, funded by employer premiums, not like welfare or ODSP or anything. So when you lower the premiums by over $2 billion in a year, that's what funds the benefits to the workers. So you're going to see more poverty and homelessness because of what he did. And it was already bad to start with. So it's very frustrating. So these events, I'll continue next year. I'll be here again. It'll probably be, what, a Wednesday next year. But the same thing, be out here spreading awareness. And it's good to have media attention actually today.
Right. So do you guys do it like once a year, or is it like...
Well, for this particular one, yes. But this is my 26th info picket at Victoria Park this year so far. I tried to get out to other labor events, but really, I don't leave my house, really. Like, I went to the Stop Doug Ford rally on last Monday. It was the last time I was going to stay out of my apartment for anything other than checking my mail or going to the grocery store. That's, you know, so this stuff kind of drives me to spread awareness, right? Make sure it doesn't happen to somebody else. They're young. I was young at one time. I'm 47 now, and it's ruined the last 20 years. You learn to be, you know, content with poverty, accept it if you have to. But I don't have a family and a wife and kids to worry about. I'm by myself. But people like lose families over this. They lose their house, have to move into an apartment. Financial stress always causes trouble in relationships. Now you lose your car, so you don't have your way to work anymore, right? Kids are, you're a factory worker and your kids are getting ready for college. Now all of a sudden you're off work, right? So can that kid get cold? He's out now because his dad made so much money, right? So what happens now? You end up staying home from school. It affects families in general, I find. And it's sad, right? Like, there's a few events and stuff, but there's really not much action being done in general. We have some important events. June 1st is Injured Worker Day every year. Day of Mourning is April 28th. But other than that, there's not really any mass protests. That's what I'm trying to build, is the connection with, earlier we had beer store representatives here, union guys, and uniform members there. Other friends are here now. Local activists. Just want to spread awareness to as many people as possible, you know, and I look at how many people I do reach by talking, and it's social media helps, you know. It's one thing to be angry at home, and WSIB hires investigators to follow people. I know I have a 4-hour video from their surveillance department following me at protests, and they had to close the file, they had to stop arresting me because I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not breaking any of my rules. You know, I'm out here for an hour and a half and I go home. So I'm not afraid to do this, whereas knowing the work is very today. And it's because they intimidate us. Plus, we're broken and sore and we're poor and we can't travel, right? So it's very hard to actually get people to come out. And the weather, you know, today turned into a nice day.
So you have a real life experience of you getting hurt at the workplace, so you know how everything is.
Yeah, and see, for me, some of the stuff that I'm fighting for these are recent things. This is a whistleblower report 4 years ago. I got hurt 21 years ago, and I was $16.85 an hour in a factory. I made good money, full dental plan, living life. I was 190, I weighed, I was in good shape, worked weird shifts, but you know, I enjoyed life. I was single, having fun. I hurt myself, man, and for a year and a half, the company couldn't give me light duties. The comp didn't want to pay for anything, so they just paid me my loss of earnings, like 85%, for like a year and a half. Then once you get to that point, they decide, oh, well, we can't just keep doing that. That's a lot of money, man. $865 every 2 weeks for the rest of his life. They can't keep doing that. We're going to retrain them and send them back somewhere. Because then once we do that, we can wash our hands of him. We can cut his benefits down. I'm not able to. I'm broken, man. It was documented that I wasn't even physically able to commit to a college program. So they had to write me off at that point, saying that I couldn't even do college. But yeah, they said I was deemed able to work 40 hours a week somewhere. So I can't even do school part-time. But somehow I'm going to work 40 hours a week. At that point, I'm broken. I'm trying any jobs. Like Tim Hortons, was the last job I worked at. I was down to maybe 6 hours a week in like 2008. I finally told them, I'm quitting. Like, it's not fair to you. I can't even be reliable to feel good to come in for 2 hours even, right? And they tried to understand. They even tried to knock it down. And I said, no, so, you know, at that point, I'm so broken that I don't sleep or eat properly, like, or social life or any of that type of stuff. So it's amazing how even family members, my mom is the only one that talks to me. People, it's like when you look at society, I have more compassion when I see somebody sleeping, because that could have been me, right? 45% of permanently, like Anthony was saying, permanently impaired workers end up in poverty. 48%. It's insane. It's 10% actually end up in deep poverty. I'm less than 18,000 a year now, being single, no car, no obligations. I don't even have cable, right? So I'm very minimal lifestyle. I don't have any spending habits because I don't go out really. But yeah, it's very frustrating.
It is. But even though you guys gathered all together, because like we have like so much people here like supporting this cause, do you feel like there should be more talk about this in the media and stuff?
Oh, I believe so. I believe that once in a while you'll see a story, right? And even when it comes to injured workers, right? If a worker gets hurt in a bad situation, you'll see an article on CBC. But there's thousands, like there's 250,000 new claims a year. So not all injuries hit that priority. Like, so why is one televised? A worker death even. I'll see stuff where a company gets fined for a worker death. Well, we actually have a criminal code amendment that says that company should be held liable for his death, including jail time, if it was neglect. It doesn't get used. The Ministry of Labor passes fines, and that's it. The company goes on working. Like the most recent one, news coverage, and again, a compassionate issue, but fear of food has had 5 workers die in 20 years, and they're still able to run. They run with a clean WSIB record, right? You'd think that company would be shut down because of, you know, but they hire temp workers through another agency, so they're the ones held accountable. Fear Foods basically gets away with murder. They're not making things safe for temporary workers. It's happening all across Ontario, right? Like different cutbacks and you know, all these little things like OFL and Ontario Network of Injured Workers, those are the two that release this report. To me, I believe that we should be outraged. Every year we should be screaming, why has there not been an investigation? The Liberals let it go, but we have a new government now. And he's already showed to be not for the people. So I don't expect him to actually investigate it. He's already announced, actually, Doug Ford, he plans on doing a review of the WSIB. Well, I know because I do the research and stuff, but if you go back to 1996 and stuff, Elizabeth Whitmer, who is now the president or the chair of the WSIB, was Ontario PC Minister of Labour under Mike Harris. Okay? She was the one that did a, quote, review of the workers' comp system back then. They changed it from a workers' comp system into a workplace safety insurance board. Right? So doing a review is only about saving money at the top. You know, even if they lay off staff, they don't care, because that's just going to make our lives worse, because less case managers, and right? So instead of fixing the system and investing, like there's so much fraud on the public is being committed. The healthcare thing is a big thing, right? Because they're denying you medical treatment or care or therapy or whatever the case may be for each person. And that's because they've excluded us from that insured health services, Canada Health Act. And it's all about saving money. They don't want to put it on the taxpayer. Employers are supposed to be held liable, you know. But every time they lower premiums, that's what funds the system. And $2 billion is going to make a huge, it's going to make the system worse. I don't know why there's not more outrage about that too, right? Like all the stuff that we talk about, like the media obviously it's busy, it's, whatever, but it only focuses on certain, like the teacher stuff. I understand, I support all that stuff too, but they can only focus on a lot of, say, 2 or 3 main things. Well, you can't forget about how much poverty and homelessness and, say, the opiate crisis can be connected to WSIB. So you want to talk, even London, the city of London wants to talk about, here's a good question if you're ever at a city hall thing, but if you want to end poverty, how can you seriously do that without addressing, say, this issue or other issues? They force us on the ODSP. We shouldn't. We're entitled to compensation, which is non-taxpayer funded. Now you're forcing us to take money from somebody that could use it, right? And if we weren't on the system, then ODSP could probably raise its rates, or Ontario Works, to a livable wage. You know, like we're living in squalor, and I, you know, you adapt to poverty at such a level, but it shouldn't have to be. You know, I'm lucky it came out today, but we shouldn't have to be out here begging somebody and curious, but to say go back and have, say, an editor tell you, you know, a few years ago, Anthony was there, I held 20 protests in a row at WSIB every Friday. So the 19th, or the 19 of them, and the 20th, we actually went to the Free Press building, held up banners and everything. Oh yeah, the guy actually came out and talked to us for a few minutes. He had this thing, you know, and he talked to us. I gave him a bunch of paperwork, and I took pictures and everything. Went in, the editor, it wasn't important enough to run. It was a Canada Day weekend too, it was actually. So, wow, and, you know. So how, the random times I have had interviews, so we're actually radio people, or last year it was another person from XFM was here. I retweeted the picture from last year. Katie, I think.
Katie, probably.
Blonde hair.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say the wrong last name, but yeah, I appreciate that. She posts pictures. The lady that came in last week, looking up with her on Facebook and Twitter, so people know, I guess. Actually, did you find it?
Yeah, because we were talking about it in our newsrooms. They're like, oh yeah, like someone said they were gonna come by and check it out,
Yeah.
and I was like, I live right there, so I'm like, let me just do it. But I think someone else is gonna come by just in case.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think I'm just gonna use this. Yeah.
And sometimes the random ones are the best.
Yeah, right,
There was
yeah.
a newspaper came out of the Grand Theatre one day, and we were protesting in front of WSIB. He just happened to walk over because he was curious.
Yeah.
He posted pictures and an article that didn't seem to. Sometimes media will sway it away from the injured worker aspect. Like, look how many homeless articles or poverty articles, they don't mention WSIB or they mention ODSP, Ontario Works, disability even. They'll say, but they won't say disabled workers. They'll just say disability. And wow, you know, it's like they're trying not to.
To tell the actual, yeah.
Because it's like a private. It's not like a social service. It's like a private corporation, right? Like, and they have their own legislation, right? So the Ontario government has the power. They're the ones that we should be pressuring. But Doug Ford, being a majority, is going to be hard to make it. He's already gone negative on us. So, and he's making workplaces less safe too, which is going to be more of a drain on the compensation system, which is going to be more of a drain on the taxpayer system. And sad.
That's actually right.
But definitely, I'll give you that to take home if you
Yeah,
want.
perfect. I'll write a story.
And again, you can look it up online if anybody, feels free to. My group, Occupy WSIB, Justice for Injured Workers, and on Twitter, Occupy WSIB, and I post a lot of articles, up-to-date stuff. So.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have anything else to say?
Oh, I think I'm pretty good. I thank everybody for coming out. They did come in, the people that were here earlier. Actually, it was a good day. The it didn't rain, so that's good.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take a little bit of photos. Is that okay?
Oh, definitely encourage that. Yeah.